Hello everybody and welcome to the Adafruit CircuitPython weekly meeting for February 26, 2018. I'm Scott. I work on behalf of Adafruit on CircuitPython as an independent contractor. CircuitPython is a fork of MicroPython that it makes it really easy to build or program embedded electronics using Python. This meeting is a chance for all folks in our community, including those of us who get paid full-time, to sync up on what's been going on in the last week, how things are going, and discuss any things that we want to cover and make decisions on. The format is this is in the voice channel, CircuitPython voice channel on our Discord. If you want to join, everybody is welcome. The URL is adafru.it/discord. We're in the text channel pretty much all week, except, but then we're also in the text or the voice channel for this meeting, which is 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. The format is that we'll spend a little time covering state of CircuitPython to begin with, which is mostly stats and kind of like very high level short sentence of where we're at that I do. And then we do kind of a round robin of hug reports, which is a chance to say thank you to people in the community for actions they've done in the last week. After that round robin, we'll do a round robin of status updates, which is like, what have you been working on? What do you plan to work on? It's a very software engineering sort of thing. And at the end, we'll have just a kind of a free-form discussion section where we can have longer discussions about anything we want to talk about. All right. So some people, if you don't have a mic, feel free to put in the text chat. This video, it's actually recorded as a video of the CircuitPython text channel to go along with the CircuitPython voice channel. And as Seagrover just said, if you're just lurking, feel free and we'll skip over you during the rotation. If you only have a mic, feel free to just type in and I'll read it out. Okay, so let's get going. State of CircuitPython. Most of these are stats that I just have a script that automatically pulls them all down. Wow, I haven't even looked at these numbers until just now. These numbers include not only the core CircuitPython repo, but all of the library repos as well, which are the ones that start with Adafruit_CircuitPython_. So in the last week, as of this morning, 69 pull requests merged, which I think is easily the top number for us. I haven't seen anything that close. There's been a lot of small changes happening in the docs, which has been really great. So that's why that number is high. There have been 11 authors for those 69 pull requests. New people that I recognize in the list are James Devine, who I think actually works primarily on Microsoft MakeCode, but they found a mistake in the README, so they fixed that. And I think it's actually 10 authors because Brent has 2 accounts, so Brent is on there twice. We had 6 reviewers for all those, so thank you to all. Okay, cool. Brent's got it down to one now, which is good. We also have 11 new PRs with 4 different authors. And issue-wise, we had 10 opened and 10 closed by 7 people, so we're basically even in terms of issues. On the whole, we have 14 open pull requests and 121 open issues. In the notes, I put a list of all of these, but I won't go over them here. Download stats for 2.2.3, which is the latest stable release, 1,678 total. Again, a lot of that growth is Circuit Playground Express and the Trinket M0. Funny enough that we have the Perky M0, which is a board that's not even out yet, has 7 downloads. So I don't know why people did that. And then there's a whole long list of improvements that the libraries could have. I won't go over that. In general, we're very focused on 3.0. I saw some discussion on the chat since I posted the thing last night about the status of the M4. I will say that we do have chips now, so we are very focused on getting the software up to snuff so that we can start to release M4 boards. So if you have time, even if you don't have an M4 board, please test 3.0 on that, and let us know what issues you find and what you think. It's still pretty early, so there are lots of issues, so make sure and take a look at those as well. But yeah, we're heads down on 3.0. We wanna knock it out and get the hardware out to go with it. So any help on that is very, very welcome. I want to have a discussion a little bit later about doing an alpha release this week as well. So that's State of CircuitPython. I realized I was not taking time codes, so I will start now. So we'll roll into Hug Reports. Hug Reports is a chance for you to say thank you to people in the community for things they've done. It's also a great way for us to reinforce the things that we want to see happen more in our community. So I'll start. It's not very exciting. I've been basically off the grid because I had my girlfriend's family in town. And we were hosting them for the last 4 days. So and then I had to clean before that. So I haven't been very aware of what's going on. But in general, from what I've seen, the whole community has been awesome. So I wanted to say a group hug. It's really, I love being able to go into the chat and see new people come on board and get their questions answered. That's so nice. So thank you all for that. Tony, do you have anything?
Hey, let's see, is it audio working?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, nothing for me right now.
Okay. Brent, any Hug Reports?
Yeah, huge Hug report to Kattni for finishing up reviewing all of my documentation fixes. There was a lot of them, and she got through them really, really fast, and I was really surprised.
It was awesome. Yeah, she offered to do that after she finished the guide, and I was like, yes, please.
Yeah, it was great of her. Fantastic work.
Yeah, and great job doing that too.
Oh, as for we're doing Hug reports, not status updates.
Correct. Right? We'll get back to you in a bit. Carter?
Just a group.
Group hug. Okay. 736. C. Grover said group hug as well. So Dan?
Thanks to Jerry for keeping us honest about the ESP8266 port, because we keep forgetting to test it, and then he finds problems. So
yeah.
And then also Summersoft has been looking at some things, which is very helpful. Okay, that's some things that are sort of still on the to-do list.
Awesome. Okay. Jerry?
Thanks to Dan for being very patient with me. They're trying to identify and rule out this silly UART problem I thought I found with the M4, but looks like it was just a configuration issue. So hopefully it's gone away and won't come back, but we'll see. And
was that on the issue that you followed up on it?
Yeah, I mean, I basically, once I made a change in the configuration, I put 5 volts into the GPS, which I couldn't reproduce the problem after I did that. But then when I went back to 3 volts, I also couldn't reproduce it. So I'm beginning to think it was probably more, just an issue with my bench layout and, just some, probably tired old wiring and things like that.
Right.
So not very satisfying, but I haven't been able to reproduce the problem, and no one else has ever produced the problem. So right. I think unless it comes back, I think we should move on. Ignore it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you filing it anyway, because it's always good to get second set of eyes on things like that.
Well, it was pretty suspicious, and it was very reproducible for a long time on my system. So I'm not convinced, but again, if I can't make it happen, then I don't want anyone else spending time on it.
Yeah, we can always.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we can always reopen it if it crops up.
Oh yeah. Again. And then another quick thank to Dan again for patiently reminding me to check my BOSAC when things don't work. I should put a big sign on my computer to check BOSAC. That was just a question. All of a sudden, my ability to use Arduino with the M4 broke, and I couldn't figure out why. And it turned out some other BSP must have reloaded BOSAC and overwrote the one that worked. So, and then finally, just a thanks to Somersault for helping me tag team and help out fix a problem that somebody else had with the SPI this weekend. That was fun. I think we made a good team.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to go back and read all of the Discord logs. I haven't even had time to do that. I like took Becca's family to the airport this morning, so it's been busy. Okay, Kattni.
I wanted to give a hug report to Summersoft and Brent for rocking out the PRs. A lot of documentation updates, a lot of it already perfect. The stuff that wasn't got fixed real fast. So really well done, you guys. And thanks so much for doing that. It's something that definitely needs to happen. And so it's very, very important thing. And mostly, I guess, past that, a group hug, just like for everybody else for keeping up with stuff over the weekend, and all the support you guys have been doing in Discord has been great. It just the same. It's been really nice to be doing some other stuff and come back and find that everyone's questions have been answered. It's very cool. So thank you all for that.
Nis?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Well, I just want to thank Radomir for helping me out, Deshipu with the LCD stuff, and for whoever is making those M4 chips. I'm really very happy that you're around.
Happy for the M4 chips?
Yeah. That takes a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very anxious to hear more about that. So, and thanks for everybody for, all the continual effort every day. People are very civil or more so, warm and friendly, and it helps. It makes a difference.
Totally, and you're part of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Summersoft, did I see you typing? Summersoft says in text chat, Kattni for the many reviews and merges with doc updates and catching some stuff I missed. Jerry N for always being out front on testing. It really helps out when troubleshooting with people like we did with RFM69 yesterday. Yeah. You guys are so awesome. Guys and gals. I'm trying not to say guys, but I just did. Okay, that's everybody. Yep, we didn't get anybody new. So we'll move on to status updates. Status updates are a chance to say, like, this is what I did the last week, whether it's core CircuitPython code or support or making a project of your own. We want to hear about it. We want to hear what your experiences have been, regardless of where you've been working. And then also kind of what you plan on working on the next week. It's a great way for people to coordinate. If you are looking to do something that somebody else is working on, that's a great way to coordinate, or you might get tips or tricks during it as well. So I'll give it a start. Let's see, let me take a time code. I deleted a bunch of old docs and drivers from the 2x branch last week. I got fed up with people being like, why can't I do interrupts? I found this page in the CircuitPython docs that says it should be possible. So I took a machete to a lot of the docs and deleted a bunch of those, including the examples and some of the drivers. I'm the one that broke the ESP build. Thanks to Jerry for finding that. And I need to do that. I need to merge that into master as well, because it's still, all those docs are still in master. So I'll try to do that this week. I had my girlfriend's folks in she's from Michigan, so they were visiting starting on Thursday. So I basically haven't done much since Wednesday. But a personal announcement is that my girlfriend and I got engaged on Friday. So that's progress. That's a status update, you could say, which is very exciting. that's why my brain was completely gone last week and I couldn't focus. But that's done. And so this thanks. This week my brain is back, and I'll be doing the DMA stuff that I was talking about last week. Basically, I want to DMA the SPI communication so that the SPI flashes faster, and then I'll also do DMA for audio bus IO and audio IO in master as well. So yeah, that's my status update. Tony?
Hey, yeah, hey, congrats. That's awesome news. So,
Thank you.
Anyways, my status update, let's see, on Monday, I did a bunch of cleanup of AMPI, and there was an old, what was it called? The Jupyter MicroPython notebook, just closed issues that aren't relevant for it.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to verify the SI4713 FM transmitter with SDR. Tools are a real pain if you're not on Windows. You have to use GNU Radio, and there's this really complex setup process. But actually ended up Lamore was able to verify it on Windows, because like what is a simple single little Windows program turns into this giant filter chain that you build from scratch in GNU Radio. It's neat, super flexible, but if you just want to verify FM broadcast, it's a little overkill. Anyways, that's done. Wrote up a guide on Sinobit MicroPython port usage that was published, and then verified and updated the guides for the LSM 303 that Dave wrote, the driver for the EML 6070. That's a UV light sensor. That one I ran into a few issues with, and I'll maybe open an issue separately for, but for some reason I can't get any data back other than a raw value of 1. And I'm not sure. I need to see if I have a UV LED that I might be able to test with. So checked out the SHT31 humidity sensor. That one looks good. Updated the guide for that. And was just starting to look at the RFM 95, the LoRa radio module next.
Okay.
As a new driver for that one.
That'd be awesome. Did you try taking the UV sensor outside?
No, but so I've used a lot of the full spectrum light sensors, and they always have some kind of raw value indoors. You know, even if it's just like a really low value, like sometimes I'd see like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's a 16-bit unsigned value, and I'm just getting back 1 no matter what. So it's like really low, which kind of makes me think maybe it's something up with how it's getting the data. But yeah, I need to see if I can get a really good strong UV source, like the sun might be out right now. If I can get near a window to do that. Or I have some UV LEDs, I think. I need to dig through and see if I can find them. So I'll try those. And I might have a black light somewhere. So.
That'll work. Cool. Well, keep up the good work. Brent.
Hey, so I finished off making MetroX CircuitPython's repo public and integrating Travis into it, so it is passing finally.
Nice.
And added in a lot of extra circuits, so it's actually longer than the Arduino guide, which is cooler, because now it's the cooler CircuitPython guide. And that guide, I guess, will go under review this week. And if anybody wants to scrutinize the code, feel more than free. And let's see, if Discord lets me upload pictures. Yeah, cool. So I also got an older telegraph. It's like a J47 from like 1930 or 1940.
Nice.
And I have it reading in some pulses through digital I/O. I'm going to try reading through analog I/O, because maybe the ADC is faster than whatever digital I/O is using. I'm not sure.
Do you mean Pulse I/O?
Pulse I/O, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Tony has some idea on that, but it has been reading in, but the value like fluctuates really high even on an oscilloscope. So John Park recommended like I clean off the copper contacts on it with a copper O or some type of ADC will be slower, some type of cleaning solution. But I am able to get it between a range when it clicks on and clicks off. So that's fun, and I'm going to work on that this week, as well as the Nokia LCD library.
Cool. Awesome, awesome. Carter, do you have stuff?
One small thing, added pixel order to the NeoPixel library. So you can set different RGBW orders and whatnot. And that just kind of came up via a forum post where someone was having a problem with one of the guides. It was because that feature wasn't in there yet.
Yep. Thanks for adding that.
Yeah, no problem. That's it.
Okay. And C. Grover said no update, I believe. So we'll go to Dan.
So I finished UART on 3.0 last week.
Yay!
And, yeah, tested it with. I mean, before, in the course of trying to figure out Jerry's bug, I tested it with GPS, so I know it works with GPS. And then a bunch of other minor things like fixing some things on the ESP8266 build, and also some other minor things. I've been doing like a lot of forum support. There are more and more people in the forum. We have to help out. So on the weekend, I was doing that. So the next thing is HID. So we're working on that this week.
Cool. All right. We'll talk about 3.0 alpha a little bit later. But I think it's time. Spoiler. Jerry?
Yeah, spend time with the GPS, playing with the UART on the M4 and on the 3.0. So that was fun to have working. And in fact, now that that's there, I think really almost everything that I'm doing works fine on the 3.0. So I started, sort of committing myself to moving all of my platforms over to 3.0 now as my baseline. And if I need to go back to 2x, I will. But I did that yesterday when Summersoft and I were working on trying to debug the problem somebody was having with the RFM69 SPI. I decided, well, I'll do it under 3.0, and it all worked out great. So that was kind of nice to give that some better exercise and work on that. And that was a fun little thing to work out. What happened was I've used many times the feather wing on the RFM69 on an M0 Express or on any of the M0s, and they work fine. But then a user wrote in saying they're having trouble using it on the with the breakout board. And I have one of the breakout boards on an ESP8266. It's been working okay. Yeah. But I decided to replicate his problem. And lo and behold, when I hooked up the breakout board to my M0 Express, it didn't work. And it wouldn't recognize the device ID correctly. So again, we went and looked at where it was failing, and it was clearly just getting the wrong. It was just not reading correctly. It was getting a message from the when it didn't SPI read, but the data was wrong. So it wasn't able to identify the device and failed the test that's early in the driver.
Right.
So Summersoft suggested just trying to lowering the baud rate, which I did, and that fixed the problem. So it looks like when you've got a couple of centimeters of wire in there, it just slows down the SPI enough to make it not work reliably. So I put in a quick fix. I put a PR in, Tony. You can look at it and see if it's what you want. But to add the baud rate as a keyword parameter to the initialization. That way, if the problem comes up, somebody can you can fix it really quickly. And that seems to work. I tried it now, and it is pretty reliable. Pretty reliable that it will fail with the breakout board, at least with my jumper sizes at 10 megahertz. But it works fine at 1 megahertz. So that was a good little exercise. And then I finally started playing with the STMPE 610 driver. At least getting some of the. Starting to lay out the code, so hopefully in the next week that'll go somewhere. And at least for the SPI side, which all of my devices have it built in, or the TFT screens with the SPI built in. So I'll get that working first and see where we go from there.
Yep. And there's an issue for that, right?
Yeah, there's an issue.
Okay.
Yes, there is. Yep. When I have something close, I'll ask you to set up a template for it, but I'm ways from that yet.
Okay, let me know.
Yep. That's it. Thanks.
Tony, did you have comments about that?
Oh, sorry. No, yeah, it sounded great. So yeah, I never noticed. I had just like maybe, I don't know, 3-inch kind of long cables, but yeah, any long cable is just going to be a nightmare for fast signals. So, yep. But I think adding the baud rate as the keyword parameter would be perfect. So someone knows they're using long cables, then you're going to have to knock that down.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That sounds like a good
nice
solution.
to have the 10 megahertz, because on the Feather, when you've got a direct physical connection, or even the Feather M0, that thing can run as fast as the circuit board allows. So
yeah,
I prefer not to like just change it to default to 1 megahertz. Keep it at 10, and then if you're doing some special case, knock it down.
Yep. That sounds good to me. Okay, Kattni.
So, last week I finished my guide. So that's finally up and done and taken care of, and everybody can look at that if they want to. Mm-hmm. From that point, I did a bunch of pull requests and merges for documentation updates. Started on the unification of the CircuitPython quick starts, which is referencing everything that's inside of CircuitPython Playground. On any of the board guides, they're different just slightly on all of them, and we're going to go ahead and make them all the same because it uses the same concepts. Mm-hmm. So it'll have, if there needs to be pictures that are different for each board, it'll have all of them on one page, and it'll be the same page, so that way if anything gets updated, we're not forgetting to update one of them. We have all mm-hmm. of them mm-hmm. In one place. We'll be doing that. Let's see. Within that, we're going to be expanding the CircuitPython expectations page to be more of a CircuitPython frequently asked questions page. Mm-hmm. There is a issue open for that. If anybody has some ideas that they might want added, anything you put on there, we'll look into it and see if it fits with what we're trying to do. So feel free to add to that. Let's see what else. So the unification, CircuitPython expectations thing I said. So I think that the continuing with the unification is probably going to be the next set of steps. I would like to get back to working on the Featherwing libraries, but the priority on that is lower than the rest of this. So mm-hmm. that may still be a bit. And eventually we're going to be getting to translating the Trinket Arduino guides to CircuitPython. But I think that the priority at the moment is the unification of the CircuitPython quick starts. So that's probably what I will be doing over the course of the next week.
Okay. Great job on the lamp guide too. It looks really good.
Thank you. I was really happy with how it turned out. So thank you very much.
Yeah. You write really good guides. Nis.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Working on the CircuitPython driver for the ST7565 graphic LCD with a link based on existing work for the SSD 1306. Have a functioning if primitive. And Nis, did you want to say? What was that?
Yeah, well, you can, I just figured I'd put that in as background because if it makes it into the channel, more eyes are on it. Mm-hmm. My big issue right now is figuring out the geometry of the frame buffer because I do have the bouncing ball demo working in CircuitPython, mm-hmm. but it's only occupying one line in the center of the LCD, which I understand the geometry, but I don't understand how the old SSD 1306 driver used geometry, so that's going to be a learning curve for me. But I was pretty surprised I got this thing going. And when it wasn't working, I was blaming CircuitPython.
I saw that.
It turned out I was sending 7 bits instead of 8 bits per utterance. So that was all on me.
CircuitPython won't blame you for it. There are bugs in it.
Oh, and it's fast too because it's concurrent. I can send I can print to the REPL at the same time I'm printing to the LCD. So I was very impressed with that.
It does. Yeah, the REPL does get buffered.
Well, it's playing nicely. The SPI implementation apparently is very well done.
And that's on 2X.
Yeah, 2.2.3, the latest stable version. I didn't even realize 3.0 was a priority for us normal folk.
Well, it's getting there. We want to make it better, but I think the 2X will use DMA, which means that it can output the SPI stuff in the background, even if there's like USB stuff going on. And we don't have that quite yet in 3.0, so you might actually see a bit of a slowdown.
Oh, I don't mind as long as it's working at all. I like the challenge. It just when it's not working at all, it's it can be very frustrating. But then I gave up on it for a whole week, and then I sat down one more time, figuring I wouldn't really get very far, and I ended up crossing over into a working, functioning thing. So I was pretty happy.
It's amazing what fresh eyes can do.
Yeah, just a week away from it.
Totally. Well, I'm glad you got it working.
All right, thanks.
Summersoft. Status about 1/3 of the way through doc updates / breaking the learn system with a smiley. New Adafruit goodie box should be delivered today, so FRAM and VS1053 drivers may get started. We'll also be assisting Kattni with guide transcription / testing. Awesome. And thank you for all your help. It's been one of the many awesome people.
I also have Wolf's status update.
Go ahead.
He said congratulations, by the way. And he finished transcribing David Beasley's stripped down version of async IO. And he's got it sort of working, but that's where he's at. He just wanted to let us know.
So that's like a module?
I believe so. Yes, I believe so. But he's trying to start with examples and then work his way backwards, I think, to see what ends up working best.
Right.
For us, since obviously we have very specific limitations. So that's where that's at.
Cool. Well, thanks for bringing that in. I know it's tough because we're in the middle of the workday.
Right.
For him. Okay, let's move on to discussion. Let me take the time code. And there's a discussion in the chat right now about the VS1053, which Tony had sketched out a driver but was having performance issues so that we couldn't keep up with sending data fast enough. And that's it's a private repo right now because it doesn't support MP3s like people would expect. I think we also do want to, like, on the M4, we want to be able to play MP3s, like, straight up. Like, in the way that Audio I/O says, like, give me a WAV file as a sample. I think we want to be able to take an MP3 as a sample. That's not for 3.0, but that might happen afterwards, which would be cool. So there's some 1053 discussion. WAV is way closer to raw audio. You're right. But with the M4, we have more CPU time we can spend decompressing. It's an interesting trade-off because, like, it depends on where your bottleneck is. Whether your bottleneck is how fast you can load data off the medium you're storing it in, or whether it's CPU time. Because, like, no, it doesn't have MP3 decoders hardware, but it does have floating point, which I think is helpful. But yeah, I think Dean actually has it working with Arduino already. Because the MP3 patents have expired, so we can actually put MP3 decoding in software now. And I think the VS1053 chip actually has like 2 different versions of firmware that you could buy, one that has the MP3 rights and one that doesn't. Although I don't know if that's still true now that the patents are expired. Okay, so alpha. I haven't actually looked at the issue list, but I know that UART was one of them. Like getting bus IO done, which I think Dan did, is done, and then Jerry's bug about the GPS was also one that was on the UART or on the alpha list. Anybody have anything else they feel like we should do before we do an alpha release? The idea with the alpha release would be that it's the first chance for people to try 3.0. If people have memory errors, I did point one person to it, so we could start saying like, oh, if you're having memory problems, like you could try this even though it's unstable. And then we'll be in the alpha phase until we get API parity with 2.0. So we need to add audio I/O, USB HID, audio bus I/O back before we hit our beta phase. And then in the beta phase, we'll basically fix all the issues we have marked for 3.0, and then we'll hit release candidate after that. This has a question. Is it important to track MPI cross closely with releases?
There's no change. So, no.
No, not besides the major version, which is what you're asking.
Yeah, the 2.1s, all the 2s work and all the 3s work for their respective ones.
Yeah, and that's somewhat a function of the fact that we only pull new MicroPython code every major release. And they're the ones that change the format of the MPY files. Cat smiley. So I assume nobody talked about the alpha. Is everybody just okay with that? If we do it before the show, then we can have that as part of the show on Wednesday, so we can try to say like, hey, and if you're feeling adventurous, try the alpha release.
That would be fine.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, we're labeling it correctly. As long as we're setting the right expectations, it really doesn't matter what's in it, as long as it kind of runs.
Right. Okay, I might actually do that today then.
Sounds good.
All right. So that's all I wanted to talk about. Anybody else have discussions, topics they'd like to do?
Just a quick little mention from me. I noticed I got all these emails from the Learn system last night.
Yeah.
Like 20 emails that are like, oh my God, this guide is broken. And so at first I was like, oh, geez, what happened? But I don't know. I think there's a bug in the Learn system where, so it notified me of like pretty much every CircuitPython guide being broken. And the issue is like the GitHub embed links when I'm like linked to an example source file. The Learn system is checking that. And if that file changes or is different, then it seems to fire some kind of a notification. But long story short, so I dug through all the guides just to see what looked like, if anything had changed. And it looks like only the DS18B20, like the little one-wire temperature sensor, I think the example file had changed. The name was changed from simple test to DS1820 underscore simple test.py. And that was the only thing I found, but I just wanted to see, did anyone else change any other example file names? And if you do change example file names, just FYI in the future, the guides link to these things. Like there could be kind of things you might not realize that depend on it. So just in general, probably good to get into a good process for when you change a library. You should also be looking at the guide and seeing at, what does the guide say? Does this library change? Need to also change the guide, just so we kind of know that like guides and things are kept in sync with the libraries, because the guide doesn't live in the library code itself, so it's hard to kind of know sometimes that some little change might impact something else.
Yeah, I think Kattni and Sommersoft were talking about this earlier.
Yeah. Lemore wanted me to be added to that email list so that I'm also getting the emails. And I agree that I think there's a bug, because when she's forwarding them to me, about half of them I found have changed and the other half have not.
too, right?
So the ones that have changed, I've been keeping up with, and the plan is I'm actually going to, since there's only 2 people working on them, I'm going to put that into the GitHub issue that is explaining how to update the documentation. To also please check. I'm not expecting them to update the guides because I don't think they have access, but then that will be on my radar as well. The emails are still going to go out because apparently as soon as you update the pull request, it still triggers a reload and it will still send an email. But at least if we preemptively get to it, then it's already done by the time you guys get the email. So it's on my radar to add to the workflow. It's just the way that Lamar had me doing it was waiting for her to send me the emails, I guess. So it's still in like a transition period, I guess, where I'm still not getting them directly, but she's sending them to me.
Sounds perfect. So sounds like
okay.
Cool.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Because up until
I saw all these emails. I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's broken.
Yeah, so. And she forwarded me, 30 emails or whatever it was, and I'm like, I didn't do that many pull requests, so it's not possible that all of those are broken.
Like 1 or 2 emails, I would have been like, oh, okay, something changed. But then I saw like all these things. I'm like, uh-oh, something's wrong. So, but yeah, and for whatever reason, we can follow up with Justin maybe if we have an example of maybe an email that was for something that says it changed, but we looked at it and it clearly didn't change because pretty much almost all of them were like that. We can maybe forward it to Justin just to see if there's some weird quirk or bug.
Okay.
I have a feeling it's just the logic that GitHub has. It's it might change the hash of a file in some way that is now the Learn system sees it as different, even though like nothing actually changed. So there's probably just a weird kind of side effect for it. But.
Okay. So then do you think it's worth, if we get the email, just repaste the link into the Learn guide?
I think just if you find an example of an email where like you got one and then you went to the guide and like the guide was perfect, there was nothing wrong with it. Like that might be something good we could forward to Justin.
Okay.
Just to say, hey, FYI, we got this kind of false positive.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure why we got it, but if, just throw it on the list of things to investigate someday.
Right, because if we're getting 20 of them, then something might be up. Okay,
I think it's just a weird
I can do that.
Effect of how GitHub updates and like, what GitHub thinks has changed is maybe different than like what a person looking at the file might see has changed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. I can, totally. I can do that. Not a problem.
And for those of you who don't know, Justin is another independent contractor that works for Adafruit. He's actually him and his brother Tyler are kind of the original remote folks for Adafruit. They basically created Learn. So they're the folks that work on and improve Learn. So
another thing, I had a user tell me that there are some broken links in a lot of the CircuitPython guides, which are manual links. They have nothing to do with GitHub, but I think it has having to do with the reorganization. So do you happen to know whether there's a dead link checker for Learn guides? Because this user was going to run
dead link one. Yeah, I just saw for GitHub embedded things because I think Learn caches those, so it needs to make sure the data still
exists. This is just a genuine. It's a 404 inside the Learn system. So if there's a dead link checker, I'll ask them if there's a dead link checker, because the person who reported it suggested that they were going to walk the whole Learn guide and find dead links, and I said, well, don't do that right now.
Computers are good at doing that.
Computers are good at doing that, but we might have a way of doing it internally.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Kattni, do you want to talk about workflow right now?
We can. I just figured I would, if you guys didn't want to worry about it until after. So here's what I'm thinking we can do, since I don't know that you guys have the Brent and Summersoft. I don't know if you two have access to update the guides. Is just when you're updating a Learn repo, or when you're updating a library repo, and you are going to change the name of or the location of the main.py or the simple test or whatever that is, go to the guide for that and I'll put all this in the issue that is up for this. But go to the guide that that goes with the sensor, and scroll down, and you'll find that either there will be just code snippets that have no reference to GitHub, or you will find the simple test .py available for download from GitHub. And if you find the GitHub version there, just simply include that in the comments of when you make your pull request, include that in the comments. And I'll still go ahead and check this stuff anyway, but then that's more than one of us checking this, and we'll be much more likely to catch it if multiples of us are doing it. Just include in the comments, like, I checked the guide, there's no GitHub in there, or I checked the guide and there is a GitHub in there. It's going to have to be updated because I moved, simple test to, DS1 simple test.py, and it's in docs now instead of it's in examples now instead of just in the root directory or whatever. If that works for you guys, if that makes sense.
Looks like you got thumbs up.
Awesome. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the issue that you guys are working from with the same instructions, just so they're in multiple places. Hold on, issue. All right. And then, so just start doing that, and I'll start looking for that in the in your guys' comments, and as well, if I see that and I see that you missed it or something like that, like I'll check it as well. So that way we've got two of us trying to do this, and hopefully we can catch it ahead of time.
Yeah. Okay, so when Summersoft edited it last night, when he was moving files around, did that break the configuration, or did just editing basic things break the configuration? Do we know?
The thing that breaks. So are you talking specifically? You're asking what is breaking in the Learn guides?
Yes.
Okay, so the very specific thing is it's not any of the conf.py. It's not updating any of the talk trees. Like, none of that affects the Learn guide. What affects the Learn guide very specifically is when you take the main.py or the simple test.py and you rename it or you move it. That's what's affecting it. Or because if you update the file, like, let's say you find it's in the right place, it's named correctly, but there's white space issues and PyLint doesn't like it, so you fix those. That doesn't break the guide. That just updates to the guide. That's why we love using GitHub and Learn.
Yeah, so it's embedded from the GitHub blah 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 .py, and that's the embed link in the Learn. Okay, I see.
So that's what will break it. So all you need to do is check to see, did I change simple test? Did I change main.py? Did I move it? Did I do anything like that with that file specifically? And if you did, then mention it. And if you didn't, then you don't have to worry about it. And if you are concerned, feel free to say, I'm not sure if what I did affects the guide, but I checked the guide. It's in the guide. I just wanted to let you know. That's fine. I have no problem double checking it if you're unsure. That's probably better to err on the side of thinking you might need to update the guide than the other way around, because I don't mind double checking it, and I can let you know, hey, this one wouldn't have affected the guide for future reference, and then easier for you to learn probably with examples. So that's what affects it, is only the URL changing for the file in the Learn guide.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yep, no problem.
Awesome. Any other discussion topics? No? All right, well, let's call it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this weekly meeting. It's a chance for all of us community folks, CircuitPython related folks, to get together and talk about what's interesting, what's going on. If you want to participate, and because you're listening to this after the fact, you can join our Discord channel at any time, adafru.it/discord. We're in the text channel pretty often, but not really in voice channel. This meeting happens typically Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, in the voice channel on Discord. So that's where to find it live. And then it will go up in the pinned messages on CircuitPython, along with any notifications if the timing's moved. And we also have a a YouTube playlist now that the all the videos go up on as well. So that's a good place to check. They're marked. The videos are unlisted, but the playlist is public. So if you're ever wanting to find it, that's a great way to find it. Notes are linked from the YouTube videos as well. So that's the deal. Thanks again to everybody, and we'll talk next week.
Yep. Later all, and congrats to Scott.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and congratulations.